What up, everyone? So, only 2 more boxes for the month of January. They've just now arrived here, and we're like mostly through February. And that's Comic Block, and then the other Gamer M block. So we'll go through these 2 boxes real quick, so we'll be all ready for the monthly review. And then we can start into February's boxes. Honestly, the January's boxes were not that great. There was a lot of crappy boxes this time around. But I purposely waited a few days, probably a lot more than that, probably like a week and a half, to review this box because I want the values to be more accurate. Last month I did it really early on, and the values were crazy high. So hopefully waiting a little bit of time has given the values some time to level out, so hopefully they'll be more accurate now. Alrighty, let's take a look at this box and see what we got. First off, shirt punch shirt. No surprise there. Bright beaming red. And it looks like we got Colossus. Greeting, comrade. That's pretty cool. Alright, not too bad. Nice Colossus shirt. I've always said before, I'm not a fan of like the really bright red colors. I think they should go a little more of a subtle color of red, but you know, that's still pretty cool. It's kind of Colossus colors, so I guess that makes sense. Yeah, nice design. Cool shirt. Alright, there's that. And the item we were all waiting for, that we all knew was coming, is the little bombshells. So this is why I wanted this box. I'm a huge fan of this series. I already did a review of it, and I've already seen this figure a million times because there's spoilers everywhere. But I'll show it off anyway. Smells new. So, this one is Poison Ivy. And this is pretty similar to the regular version. There's not a lot different. I think the only thing different is the base. The base is red, and then she has little leaves in her hair. As far as I can tell, that's the only difference. And I think the rose may be a different color. Where is she? Yeah, the rose is a little bit of a different color. It's red instead of pink. So pretty minor differences, but I do like the little touch of like the little leaves in her hair. That looks kind of cool. So there's not a huge difference between this and the regular one, but I'm still pretty happy with it. I think it's really cool. Still trying to collect the original series, and it's still ending up being pretty impossible. Those rare figures in the series are very hard to find. But I did find out that they are releasing a Series 2. Right after I posted my review, I did some research. They are doing a Series 2. It doesn't come out until July, so it's a ways away, but there is a plan for it with all new characters, all new molds, so that should be really cool. So yeah, I'm really happy we got that figure, and we'll see one more next month. So February's box, I'm pretty sure has Catwoman, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm sure it'll be a very similar concept. Same sculpt, just a slightly different paint job. Which I'm cool with. That's a cool idea. I really like these figures, so I'm happy to see it. Alrighty. Next, looks like we got some Batman figures. And now, this is one of the few times I actually read an email from the Nerd Block company. I usually don't even bother reading their emails, but for some reason, I can't remember why, I came across this one. And there was supposed to be an item in here, a comic, that was, Power Rangers and Justice League, I think, that ended up not being able to make it in, so they put 2 figures as a replacement. Now, I think it's a good replacement that they put 2 figures in. They're carded and everything, which is cool, but I was kind of excited for the Power Rangers Justice League. It sounded like a really cool comic, and Nerd Block has an exclusive cover. So I'm hoping it'll just go in next month's box. I don't see why it wouldn't, since they already ordered it and it is exclusive, so it should be in the following month, so that's why I'm not too upset about it. And they did replace it, so not that big a deal. But if for some reason it didn't end up in next month's box, I'd be pretty upset. But yeah, so these figures are pretty basic. These are just posable, bendable figures. They're rubbery, and you just pose them in different figures. They're kind of like the Batman ones that we got in Loot Crate DX. Very similar, different style, like different time period of Batman, but still the same concept as they're the posable, bendy figures, which I'm not a huge fan of, but they come carded, so you don't need to take them out of the package. You can just display them like that. And that's what I do with most of my action figures. I just put them on the wall, put a tack in there, and then display them that way. So that works for me. And you got Batman and Robin, so, well, not too much to complain about. Alrighty. On to the comics. And they've been really good about giving exclusives lately. That was my only tip to them from before. Only put comics in if they're exclusives, and so far they've been pretty good at it. This one says presented by Nerd Block. So this is Divinity 3, and I think the cover is exclusive, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of a gray area. They did it last month where it said presented by Nerd Block, and the cover wasn't exclusive, but it became exclusive just because they wrote presented by Nerdblock. It was a really weird thing. So I'm hoping that this is actually an exclusive cover, and it just seems like a cat cosplay cover. So that's kind of funny. Some nice cats on there. So there we go. Alright, Divinity 3. Next, we got Kal, not sure how to pronounce that. Comic I've never heard of before. Seemed legit. Got some blood on the cover. I'm guessing it's maybe slightly gory, but who knows. It seems cool, but I know nothing about that. I've never heard of that before. So there we go. And like we've seen in pretty much every comic block, Red Sonja keeps making her appearance. We saw her in the last one. I'm pretty sure we saw her in the comic block before that. And we've also seen her in different blocks. I think they're just really trying to push Red Sonja. I don't know why. It seems like a legit comic. I've never gotten too into it. It seems cool, but it seems like this company's really pushing this series. And the same thing. It was Red Sonja that was last month. It said presented by Nerdblock, but it was a cover that had already been done, but they just put that on there, which technically makes it an exclusive cover, just adding the words on there. But it was just weird. It was weird that they didn't go through the trouble to make their own cover, and it seems like this may be the same situation. So I'll have to look that up and see. And I'm sure the little description card will say that as well. Or we have a description booklet now. And then we have an art print. Art print. Never signed or numbered or anything, but it looks like a print of Poison Ivy. So it looks like a cool picture, but the only unfortunate side of this is that it's never worth anything because there's no value, there's no signature, there's no numbering, so that's always unfortunate. You know, Nerdblock at one time, I have a picture over there, they actually put in a canvas print where it was on a piece of wood and it was actual canvas. I'm surprised they didn't do that again because I thought that was really awesome. I wish they would step up at least the quality of these prints. If they're not going to go through the trouble to get them signed and numbered, which I understand, it's hard to get the artists to do that many prints if there are a lot of boxes, but they should upgrade it to like nicer quality weighted paper, or maybe just put it on canvas, like I said, stretch it on some wood, which wouldn't cost pretty much anything, and that would make it really cool and a lot easier to hang. It was a Legend of Zelda one they did a long time ago, but it was actually stretched canvas like on a wood frame. It was very nice, actually. I liked it a lot. So, that's all the items in the box. So we'll take a short little break. I'll do my research, and then we'll come back and talk about what was exclusive, talk about some value, and give this box a rating. See you soon. Alright, we are back. Let's talk about this box. So, first, the shirt. I'm going to give it like a 6.5 out of 10. I thought it was a good design. It's a decent design. Quality's decent as well. Nothing bad about it. No complaints. I think they went a little heavy on the red. They should go more subtle colors just to make them more wearable in everyday activities. It's kind of sometimes weird to wear such a bright and vibrant color. Just, you know, out and about. Like, it's just like you really want to be seen. Everyone's going to see you in that shirt. So they should maybe dull down the colors just a little bit. And the design was cool. It's just a little, not crazy cool or anything like that, but it's just a decent design. So 6.5, that's what it's going to get. And it'll get the standard $12 to $15 value. Then, our exclusive Poison Ivy figure. These go for a decent amount just in general. So this one's going to go for about $22 to $25. Now, these figures on their own sell for a decent amount. They usually don't sell for less than $10, and then $15 and up from there, depending on what it is. The 1.5 series sell for $20 and over, and then rare ones are like $50 to $100 sometimes. And then these exclusives are usually always around the $20 to $30 range, depending on what it is. So that's pretty much what I would have guessed. So 22 to 25 on that. Then, our bendable Batman figures. So this is the only thing in the box that was not exclusive, but that's only because it was a last-minute trade. We were supposed to get the Power Rangers Justice League, and we got this instead, but they didn't have time to make it exclusive because it was a last-minute sub-in, and those are very cheap to find. You can find the pair of them for 10 to 12. And maybe even a little less for both figures, so not that much. And I have a feeling that the comic, the Power Rangers and Justice League, I have a feeling that comic would have been worth a lot, so I don't know if it's really an even trade. But that's what that's worth. Then, the comics. Divinity actually had a decent amount. This is going for like $8 to $12. And yeah, that's a lot more than I thought. So it is an exclusive cover. I looked on the pamphlet, and it says they're all exclusive covers, which is good. So, yeah, there's that. So, got a decent amount there. Alright, next. Kal. This This one did not get so much. This one's only 7 to 8. And I think that's because it's just not that popular or not that well known. Because if I knew a lot about it, then it might be a little more exciting. But I don't think he's a very popular character, so I don't think there's a high resale because there's not a lot of market for it. But that was exclusive as well. And then Red Sonja, once again. Also exclusive, but this one's only going for like 6 to 7. So, and again, it's probably because they put out so many of the Red Sonja covers lately, it's like kind of flooding the market. And I don't know how popular Red Sonja is. I've heard of her a lot, and I think she's cool, but I'm not like crazy into her, and I don't know if anyone else is either. I don't know if there's like a big following for it, because each time they put in a Red Sonja comic, it doesn't have that much high of a value, so there's that. Alright, and the last one is our print. Since it's not signed or numbered, doesn't get much value, $3 or $4. That's pretty much what it is. And it's sad to see that. So I hope NerdBlock invests in maybe some better paper. I really hope they do the canvas thing, because this would look badass on canvas and then stretched over some wood. That would look really badass. So I hope they do that again, because that was a really cool idea that they only did one time. But anyway, that brings our total value on the low end of 68, on the high end of 84. So still pretty high on these values. So they may come down a little more again, but I don't see them coming down a ton, to be quite honest. They may drop a little, but probably not a lot. So even on the low end, that's a pretty decent value. That's exactly what we want, double the value. And we got a good mix of comics. They didn't pick the best comic franchises, and that's pretty much the only complaint I'd have at this point. They don't pick the most well-known comic franchises. They try to push lesser-known ones, and that's probably because NerdBlock makes partnerships with these lesser-known companies to get an exclusive cover in exchange for putting them in their box. So it's usually a partnership type of thing, and that's usually how that works. So I think most people would be much more excited with more popular franchises with exclusive covers. So, but it may be hard for them to do, but that would be ideal. Because the comics we got in here, they're known for the most part, with the exception of Cal, but just not super popular series. And that Justice League one would have been really popular, but, you know, it is what it is. And then the print, I was really happy about the figure. That's cool. So we got a good mix of items in here. It wasn't just comics, so that's good that they're starting to mix it up a little bit. So I appreciate that, so I like that too. That all being said, I think I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It did great on value. The comics weren't the best choices. The bendable figures, they're okay. They're a decent replacement, but I don't think it replaced the comic that it was going to be. And, yeah, we got comics that were all exclusive covers. We got a cool print. I think it did a good job. Nothing amazing. I wasn't blown away by it, but I think they did a good job. They filled the value. They gave variety, and, yeah, I think they did a decent job. We'll see what they do next week, or next month, because I want to see that Justice League Power Rangers comic. I'm really excited for that. I think it looks really badass. So hopefully it's in the next month. But for the time being, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think. Let's hear about it. Let me talk about it in the comments. Like, I want to hear your thoughts on it. What you thought of these comics. Do you recognize all these franchises? Are you interested in them? The values? Let's talk about it all. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, this has been the unboxing and review of January's comic block. 7 out of 10. Let me know what you guys think. See you on the next video. Love y'all. Peace.